High.
Higher.
Higher. I can get higher. Question is, can the camera get higher?
That's good. It's on an angle that we can.
What if there's somebody joins in there?
That's better. That's good. Yeah.
All right, wicked. Welcome to class in session. We just had to figure out the camera, figure out the angles, you know. We're just working the angles. So, I hope everybody had a good weekend. My weekend is going to be fucking memorable for the rest of my life. It was a pretty interesting weekend. Yeah. Made a couple videos about it, and we're going to play the first one right now. Or wait, right now.
Almost right now.
Oh wait.
I couldn't frame it well before we started, so otherwise I would have.
Framing the video, that's interesting. Keep that in mind.
Video frame. All right, it's framed.
All right. So here it is. This is how my weekend started off. Hey, how you guys doing? This is Al. Just got arrested at the Vancouver airport for trying to find myself a safer place to live with my medicine. Now we're here at the Richmond RCMP police station. They've got my prints on file. These are my prints. I'm allowed to show them. I won't show you.
Okay.
I won't show you. Yeah, no. You, unless you say, hey, you don't mind.
This is okay.
Yeah.
But because of security
Well,
issue,
yeah, for sure.
not in the area.
No. So I got my prints on file. So what they've done is they're nice enough to give me my 900 grams back. But I disputed it. I believe that I was shortchanged a quarter pound on the 900 gram return. So they're going to go reweigh it. All in all, they're pretty courteous. Although, if you look at my arms, these arms are pretty beat. My wrists are pretty screwed. My shoulders right now are super sore. I endured a number of seizures in their custody. As you can see, this wrist is very, very bruised, very swollen. Number of seizures in their custody because they had seized my medication. I'll do it right against this wall here, so that way I'm not getting any of that stuff here. Yeah. So, yeah, they seized the medication. I don't have clear recollection, but I'm quite positive, as in all cases, after I have a seizure, I request my cannabis. It was refused from me. I endured 4, maybe 5 more seizures while in custody, escalating each time. The confusion kept getting greater and greater and greater. By the last one, I really don't know what happened, but myself and a constable got into a little more than an argument, and he had to restrain me a little bit. So I just want to say to all of the medical cannabis patients out there, you got to be fucking careful. I mean, technically my address is under duress. Health Canada states we have 15 days to move our license, to notify them of any change of address, which leaves a gray area stating that we're allowed to take our weed to such a said safe new spot and then notify Health Canada later. So all I was doing, got talked to in the airport. I didn't have to grant him as much courtesy as I did, but he was a very, very nice guy. See, it was under, right?
Yeah, it's under.
But he was a very nice guy, so I granted him the courtesy. It could have ended with me just saying, no, you can't look in my luggage. You can look in my carry-on. My luggage is not letting off any sort of signs.
Do you want to stop for a sec? Because
I'm just going to wrap it up. So there are ways to defend. I'm going to touch on the show on Tuesday. But this is what can happen, even to cannabis celebrities. So. All right, so that's what the fuck happened to me at the start of my weekend. So, number of things went on with this with this procedure, their approach and stuff. I'm gonna work it out with my lawyer before we go to court. So I won't really get into any of that kind of stuff. But like I said, that's pretty much how it started. Now, one of the things that I got. Sorry. Stop it. All right. One of the things that I got was this bag of weed, which was much bigger. It was about that full when they gave it to me. And as you can see, it says evidence on the bottom. Which I don't know. I thought that was actually, you know, it was a great gesture on their behalf. But I also feel that it was proof that that weed was medicine. You know what I mean? Like, that 900 grams they gave me, they've acknowledged that everything that they seized was medicine. How can they look at that stash and go, oh, that must be medicine, and that was the bad stuff? You know, they, in good conscience, they couldn't do that. There's no way they could do that. So I think that motion in itself was an acknowledgement. I mean, I had seeds. They didn't take my seeds. It was quite obvious that, you know, if I did find an address, those seeds would be planted. You know, all of that was quite apparent. I had my bong. I had the vaporizer. Fucking, I don't know. So we'll see what happens. I go to court December 3rd. And again, I want to say thanks to those guys for giving me 900 grams back, because it helped me out through the weekend. It got my headspace back to normal. And I made a couple videos. One's like, you know, one's a little cocky because I got my evidence bag back. So like, you know, it's wicked. I get to smoke my evidence. You know, I think that's pretty cool. But there's a real sincere one I'm going to play a little bit later. So if the RCMP are watching, I encourage you to stay tuned. I did speak with a couple of the constables, and I told them, I said, hey man, I rock a show. You know, it's called Class in Session. We do it on B-Real TV and Pot TV, and if you guys ever want to come on and talk about what you have to deal with regarding to medical cannabis, like the hoops they have to jump through, the lack of protocol, the lack of information they've been given, because it's a clusterfuck over them. They don't know how to deal with it, and I actually felt bad for them, because these guys are supposed to be creme de la creme. They're airport undercover security, right? That's serious shit. And they really had no education on how to deal with medical cannabis. And so I would love to you know, give you guys some pointers. You know, for one, if a guy has his pink sheet, you might want to call Health Canada and find out what protocol is before you just go ahead and violate somebody's human rights. So that's just a little bit of advice. I know you don't care what I say, but I feel if we open a line of communication, it would be better for everybody. So yeah, that's where we're going from there. Now I got picked up from the airport from a good buddy, and there's a strange phenomenon that's going on in Winnipeg by the name of Kelly J. DeVoe, and this guy is fucking, I don't even know. He's fucking crazy, but serious at what he does. So you know, he's a performer, and he's got a very sincere approach to his performance. But I don't want to offend you, Kelly. It's fucking comedic. I think it's really funny, and a lot of people that come out just they laugh their asses off. They have a wicked fucking time, and we're gonna show you why. So I gotta say sorry, brother. I'm sorry I pulled you away from this fucking show. But when we got there, Kelly J. DeVoe was over. He was playing in the basement of the Osborne Village Inn, and I was pleasantly surprised to see Chai Pig. So SNFU was playing upstairs at the zoo and had a wicked fucking time. Saw a lot of old friends haven't seen in 10 years almost. So yeah, here's Kelly J. DeVoe live.
You walked right by me in a club, looking hot now in a club. I knew right there, baby, I was in love. When I saw you in a club, you smiled at me, baby, in that club. You asked me to dance now in the club. I knew right there, baby, I was in love. Looking hot when you're wearing white, blew my mind, baby, out of sight. Style and grace and a pretty face. Let's hook up, go back to my place. Love your body, mind and soul. Love your baby after the show. Larger than life, so let me be. I'll never disappoint, I'm eager to please. Where are you tonight? Hottie, hottie, hottie. You're a hottie, 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 hottie. You're a hottie. When I saw you in the club, you walked right by me in the club. Looking hot now in the club. I knew right there, baby, I was in love. When I saw you in the club, you smiled at me and in the club.
Hi. Thank you, good night. Thanks for having me tonight. Thank you, appreciate it. Good night, everyone. Have a good time. I'm going to get myself all cleaned up here for you. And I'll see you guys really soon. Thank you, good night.
Kelly J. DeVoe. Holy fuck. Crazy. Crazy. So yeah, that's a strange phenomenon that's going on in Winnipeg. I really don't know why, but it is. And I encourage them to keep on keeping on. We're gonna play Funny Bone soon too. Funny Bone, Funny Bone. Oh yeah, we're gonna play Funny Bone. I didn't get you to upload it?
I don't think so.
Okay, well we'll upload that in a while. So, there's some environmental shit that's been going on that's pissing me off, and I found out some little bit of facts about it. Now, fracking. It's been going on since the 1800s, and it's basically fracturing through the slate layer to get to oil deposits that are hard to reach. Now, it consumes a fuckload of water, a fuckload of fresh water. It's like in the billions of gallons per fracking site. Seriously, billions of gallons. Now, I did some research, and I found an article. I'm not even going to give the guy the time of day to mention his name, but I noticed in the corner of the article there was a Shell ad. And this guy was like kind of trying to dispel the facts about fracking, and he was like, I was so blown away when I heard it used billions of gallons of fresh water. So I thought I would try to put that into context for my mind to comprehend. And he's going on and on and on. So he goes on to say that it only consumes 0.3% of the fresh water available in the United States. It only consumes 3% of the or 0.3% of the fresh water available in the United States. But he doesn't tell us if that's per day, per site, per year. None of that shit. It's like
0.3% is 0.3%. You don't really need a time for that.
well, you do. If it's 0.3% a day over the span of a year, it'll add up to a fuck.
It's still 0.3%.
No.
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
Texas, I'm going to cover that right away. It's fucking retarded what's going on. So, now what if in theory that's per site, Marius?
Well, that's still, if you add up all the sites and they're all 0.3%, you still get 0.3%.
Well, no, if one site is using up 0.3 of the United States water supply, 2 sites would be using up 0.6.
Yeah, but
And 3 sites would be using up 0.9.
they say that all the sites use up 0.3 though. That's what he said. I mean, I'm not saying that's true or not, but that's
No,
what he said.
he just says fracking.
Sounds like nonsense enough to me.
Well,
Just says fracking. Doesn't give any details as to whether it's per site, yeah, none of that.
he seems to indicate that that would be the entirety, but you know. I mean,
Yeah, but there's a
but
lot
we don't
of,
know. I mean,
there's a lot of falsehoods
Absolutely.
with terminology that's used as indicative terminology, like all natural.
0.3% sounds like a really small figure, actually. So
Not really. That's a lot of fucking water, dude. How many people? Yeah, think of that as in the context of fresh water. Like, yeah, that's gone. That's gone. Literally, people are turning on their taps and putting a lighter and making flames in their sinks. This water is.
oh, I don't think that's the water that he's counting. I think he's counting the water that they use in the fracking. The contaminated water, I'm sure, is much more.
Yeah, I never even thought about that as well. Yeah. So, per site, 1 to 8 billion gallons of fresh water are used at each fracking site to completion. Over 600 chemicals are used. It's fucked. So now they're worried about radium levels in freshwater lakes rising. Radium, what the fuck? It's a travesty what's going on. So I dug a little further, and I found that this all falls into this Agenda 21. There's something crazy going on with the United Nations and all of the free world and this deal they've made, and it's fucking scary, man. So let's start off with Agenda 21 for Dummies. This is a video I found, and it blew my mind. It blew my mind. Well, the other alternatives were like 2 and 3 hour long, very, in-depth documentaries. So, all right, let's rock this.
Sustainable development has become the popularized expression for Agenda 21. Agenda 21 is the 1992 United Nations Rio Declaration on the Environment and Development.
It is the agenda for the 21st century you're living in today. For a brave new world where everything that you cherished and held true will no longer exist.
Agenda 21 defines itself as the comprehensive plan of action to be taken globally, nationally, and locally by organizations of the United Nations systems.
It also elevates nature above man. And it contains something called the precautionary principle, where basically you're guilty until you're proven innocent.
Sustainable development is the philosophy designed to bring human beings across the globe under the full control of a narrow human elite.
It's a 40-chapter document to basically control the world. It's based entirely on socialist control mechanisms.
Sustainable developers have designed a global movement coordinated through a global to local action plan to create world government in accordance with certain objectives. These objectives include an end to national sovereignty, the abolition of private property, the restructure of the family unit, and increasing limitations and restrictions on mobility and individual opportunity. The green goal includes the listings of what's not sustainable. A couple of the examples include private property.
728 lists fossil fuels.
Golf courses and ski lodges are not.
Consumerism.
Irrigation is not sustainable.
Paved roads.
Commercial agriculture.
Herbicides, pesticides. Elsewhere, it lists farmlands, pastures, grazing of livestock.
And the family unit. The focus of sustainable development is the abolition of private property, societal undermining of the family, and abandonment of the constitutional protection of unalienable rights as described in the Declaration of Independence. You see, I sat on the Santa Cruz Agenda 21 committees. Now, this was a lot of crazy ideas. This was back in the mid-90s. Crazy ideas I heard. Mother Earth's surface wasn't to be scratched. Human beings were to be concentrated into human settlement zones. Educational systems were to focus on the environment as the central organizing principle. All aspects of life were covered. Well, I went to these committees at the request of some people who told me that I needed to understand what was going on, and I came back and I said, this is craziness. This is so silly. It has no chance of having any effect on our society. Well, I was wrong.
The United States government's support for Sustainable Development, Agenda 21, is very clear. In 1992, while the Rio Conference was going on, George Bush, then president, was there, where he executed the Agenda 21 protocols on behalf of the United States and brought it back to Washington, D.C. Within a year, Bill Clinton, by executive order, no congressional review, established the President's Council for Sustainable Development. In Santa Cruz, we've got a 2-lane freeway system. We need 4, but what we're getting is hundreds of millions of dollars of federal money to take a dilapidated rail line that Southern Pacific wants to put in the hands of somebody else so that a commuter line can be built along the railroad track. That'll be followed by 14-story buildings where people will live and stack them and pack them units, where developers or so-called sustainable developers will build these high rises with federal dollars. In fact, Santa Cruz has received a $300 million federal grant to build the first 3,000 of these stack and pack them units. The County Board of Supervisors has said, if you are a sustainable developer, you're immune from any construction defect liability. It's a partnership between selected developers building this new world order and the government using the American taxpayer dollars in order to do it. This is a map of the Wildlands Project. To explain the map, the red are areas that are to be off limits to human beings. No resource development, no human activity. If you live there, you won't. The yellow areas are the areas for major control of all human activity. If you live there, you won't. The black areas, the black dots, are the smart growth zones. That's where human beings are to be stacked and packed in small living units along rail tracks. The Smart Growth Program ultimately has jobs assigned and children cared for by the state.
The question has been asked many times how the people who are perpetrating these things expect to do this and make it last. And the answer to that is that you steal a generation of children and you indoctrinate them so that they accept these ideas and they become global citizens in the coming global village.
UNESCO came out and declared 2005 to 2015 the decade of education for sustainable development. But they go on to say that it will encompass the 40 chapters of Agenda 21. That is your federal national curriculum. The entire purpose of second grade social studies is to transfer loyalty from the family to the government and teach them about sustainable economic consumption. Students construct their own understandings of reality and realize that objective reality is not knowable. So why bother? The truth is, the truth, which keeps men free, is being suppressed in order to prop up the attitude training agenda. And it moves on. This is our new math called connected mathematics. Standard 3 tells us that students learn that mathematics is man-made, that it is arbitrary, and good solutions are arrived at by consensus. Most of us assume 2 plus 2 is always going to equal 4. You're wrong. We might reach a new consensus. How well does it work? Well, they tell you in the teacher's guide in the back. It tells us that because the curriculum doesn't emphasize arithmetic computations done by hand, some students may not do as well on tests assessing computational skills. We believe such a trade-off in the favor of CMP is very much to the student's advantage in the world of work. Our children are mathematically illiterate on purpose. How do I know on purpose? Why isn't this just a basic bad idea? Because the Sustainable Development Plan tells us so. Generally, more highly educated people who have higher incomes consume more resources than poorly educated people who tend to have lower incomes. In this case, more education increases the threat to sustainability. Charlotte Iserby, I owe you an apology. I did not believe for the longest time it was a deliberate dumbing down. I thought the dumbing down was a natural consequence of a bad idea. Folks, it's deliberate. It's deliberate.
The sustainable globalist goal is the orchestration of a planned fall of American principles, values, and lifestyles. The effect on the average American will be devastating. With modernizing technology, the ordinary person will live without independence, privacy, or substantive rights.
Another press conference that I attended was the ICLE group, the International Committee for Local Environmental Initiatives, that helps in the implementation of Agenda 21 in all of our local communities. And one of the speakers was a Harvey Reuven, who happens to be the vice chair of ICLE. And I asked him about the correlative rights that Americans derive from the United States Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And that, of course, is your individual liberties, your private property, your freedom of speech. I asked about it clashing with Agenda 21. And you know what his response was? Individual rights must take a back seat to the collective.
All right, we're back. So, had a little brief freezing after that video. Now, I know this seems like, hey, they're just trying to help the planet, man. We're doing it for the planet. We're doing it for the planet. But it's under the guise of, hey, we're trying to help nature out. Nobody's, it's a very radical idea that will, in theory, replenish parts of our planet and let them thrive without human interruption. But the actual goal, in my opinion, is total control. And it's to herd people into places where, exactly as they were saying, they can be monitored, they can be studied, all sorts of things. And it leaves a utopia for the rest of the elite to roam free. Now, I don't know if you remember some of the videos I played in the Majestic 12 and Beyond episode, where I talk about the extraterrestrial involvement in human development and government. And I firmly believe that this is part of what's going on. They're preparing our planet through chemtrailing, creating a more acidic, toxic environment, making people sick and weak so that they can have their utopia to thrive in. And there's no way around it. It's happening at the highest levels, and when you talk about it, you just look like a crazy guy. So it's like it's awesome what they've done with this whole agenda and this whole plan by forming conspiracy media shows that get nationally syndicated and all sorts of things, so that they can create fanaticism to discredit any movement that they speak out against. It's a brilliant system. I gotta respect it, because it's like, holy fuck, that's ingenious. That's a really, really smart thing. The architecture of this whole system it's beyond. Props to you for that, but fuck you for everything else. I'm sure there's a lot of brilliant schemes that could be implemented. You didn't have to pick such a diabolical one. So that's kind of what's going on. Now, petroleum is it's something that it's been enslaving people for a very long time. And these pipelines and these railways that are going to be connected to the pipelines are exactly what is being talked about here. People are going to have a function, and it's not going to be to freely express yourself or to anything like that. We're going to have a function, and our function is going to be labor, and solely labor. They don't want us knowing anything. That's why they're taking mathematics out of the equation, because mathematics is like, it's like the language of the heavens. It's like the language of God. It's like it's how you can communicate.
Well, it's a way.
How could I say it? It's a universal language.
It's a way to accurately assess your environment.
Well, so in some cases, no,
then,
because it's mathematics can be manipulated as well, just by introducing a constant that changes the equation. So if you have a formula that doesn't work, this formula doesn't work, and you're trying everything you can, well, the formula will work if you minus 10, which doesn't make it a true formula.
Yeah, but that makes it an inaccurate description. But mathematics is just a description of the world, just like eyes or video camera. They want to take that away from you.
Oh yeah,
say,
for sure.
No, we can't. You can't see the world through mathematics. Mathematics is only consensus, so you might not be right, and that's. Yeah.
So they don't want us knowing anything, and what's happening is, as you heard, they're going to take away a whole generation of children, and if you remove a generation from family education, right at the base, like right at birth, so they don't even know the family unit, and you teach them this whole thing, this whole new way. In theory, that'll work. They won't know the family unit. There might be some emotional feelings that they can't describe. They don't know where this forlornment comes from. Oh, I feel lost. I feel like I need something more in my life. There might be that in their personalities, but they won't know what it is. And they'll know their function is solely to be laborious. This is all you do. That's it. Or this. Or this. That's it. So over the span of 5 generations, let's say, that will just become the norm. And if they implement breeding programs where these generations get shorter, so that children keep getting spit out faster, kind of like Kentucky Fried Chicken, inducing their chickens with steroids and stuff so that they can just harvest them really young. Generations will get shorter, and this whole agenda will take place way quicker than planned, I think. Scary shit. Now, fracking. So this is what's going on in the world, and these are the reasons they're trying to, this is, we've got to do something for this planet, right? Humans lived fine. We lived in harmony with nature since the beginning of mankind. We were nomadic, we moved around with the seasons, moved around with the food supply, so that when we left an area, that food supply could be replenished, and while we it just kept going, and we lived a beautiful life, and the earth probably was quite a utopia. I look at little sections in Stanley Park and think, I can't even imagine this 2,000 years ago. It must have just been breathtaking. But humans were there, and we didn't fuck it up, so why not instead put laws against industry and make everybody farm again, make everybody fucking grow their own food, fucking all of that shit. You got to go back to the plow, motherfuckers. That would be a better way of implementing this, hey, we're going to help the planet thing. Not, hey, we're going to herd all you fucks like hamsters and stick you in cages and stack you sky high in these little fucking thin fucking veins throughout the whole world. That's just fucking bullshit. So part of these veins are going to be oil pipelines that are attached to these railroads. So we're going to talk about some fracking. I got some videos lined up. Let's go with the first one, the hydraulic fracking music video.
All across America, gas companies are tearing up land to make room for the piping needed for hydraulic fracturing. One of the many groups trying to shut down this dangerous fracking practice is Artists Against Fracking. a group of nearly 200 members working to expose and stop fracking through mass awareness and peaceful democratic action.
Jewish, Hispanic, Hungarian specimen, assembling hella poetic shit with a telekinetic gift. They compare me to white rappers like Eminem, where melanins are relevant. I'm more like the next Fracking. Elements tested to better digest the estrogen menace and lesbian tendencies like Ellen DeGeneres. I'm better than Genesis, but for dude to rhyme with me, he needs repetitive repentance like Deuteronomy. 40 days and 40 nights flooding the airwaves with butt in a pair of J's and comfortable bear caves. I'm slick as fallopian, you kiss the linoleum, cause you can't stop the rapid flow like British petroleum. Subs are unsure if they should plummet more undershore. Never lost a thumb war with a swagger Dumbledore. Rapping till my gums are sore, spinning like a vinyl store. More underground than a dinosaur's spinal cord. Dig it. I'm from the land of the vaporized fog, where white people patronize dogs, and flaccid penis naked guys jog in nothing but their tailor-sized Crocs. I got the fight of Dhabi or Muhammad Ali, but keep the peace like Talib Kweli meets Mahatma Gandhi. I nonchalantly keep it spicier than wasabi. Had these carbon copies sweating like they popped a molly. These haters on the internet's hobby is Arikari. It's like they think that comment boxing makes them paparazzi. Commentators get split like water skaters or common denominators when bombing haters like kamikazes. Currently there's no charge for these electric raps. I got a protective dad and eclectic swag. I solve mysteries like Holmes and Watts, son. I got energy like Ohms and Watts, son. The situation changed when Frak's in it. You rappers need to be yourself, dog, you Malkovich. The game's gelatinous, I'm running it like Kaepernick. You Anna Smiths can't fuck with me, I'm abstinent. Bro, your shit's leaking, call the ambulance. Campus is blasted with savage whiffs of the hazardous cannabis. The passionate catalyst, scandalous anarchist, alphabet alchemist came to panoramically damage your thalamus. Frustrated as a low-tolerance hot mess, horny as a rhinoceros with the corniest lava breath, bumping Kanye West in a sausage fest with more fire than Frodo Baggins' Komodo dragon. I'm hot to death. Fracture rappers in my factory like fractions. It's radical. The MC's inverse that frac shunned. Then I try angles to invert refractions. Get your frac straight if you don't think that frac won.
Give a frack. Frack me.
We're back? All right, so that's just the tip of the iceberg there. That was a little fun kind of, introduction. But you want to come up and talk about some stuff, Rose?
Can I eat?
I don't care. I'm not an oppressor.
Cool.
You have the right to eat.
That's right. You people that don't want to see me eat, don't look.
Yeah. Fuck all y'all. There's nothing wrong with eating.
Hello, Rose here.
All right. So, what's been going on with the First Nations people and fracking? I know the media's been fucking bullshitting a lot and kind of construing things a certain way. I don't know.
Oh.
Right on.
Tiny bubbles.
Can we hear you now? Can we hear everybody? Am I close enough?
I just want to be heard.
Well.
Herded. No, heard.
Well, my name is Rose. I'm traditionally from the Natchanakdun, Yukon Territory, which is now known as Mayo. And my family up there, we have long lineage. We have, anyway, I'm from this place. How about that? It's Rose, real Indian here talking to you on Pot TV. How cool is that? Because, you say, what does this have to do with cannabis? And is this just an Indian problem and all this, these questions that I keep hearing, right? And, this is everybody's problem. If you use water, it's your problem. And that's what I keep saying. If you use water, this is your problem. And everything Al here is talking about, it's been passed on and verified. And it's been vilified. It's been everything, right? But,
it's totally been vilified.
Yeah. So this comes down
These
to
guys are
what's
criminal on the highest
no
level.
kidding. This comes down to what's been going down in New Brunswick. Everybody's saying what's been going down because the media's portrayed it that a pile of antagonists, a bunch of ragtag Indians on the road, they were throwing Molotov cocktails and had a cache of homemade weapons, and this justified the descent of approximately 10-1 people of RCMP, with the aid of, I might add, U.S. paramilitary with Delta insignia. Unidentified.
Oh, that's probably the craft.
It's law in Canada. You have to identify yourself as a police officer if you're going to use force.
Maybe they just hired mercenaries.
Well, that's another topic, right? About how the U.S. is over here. And, so what does this have to do with cannabis or anything? Well, this is about the violation
We use fucking fresh water. That's what it
rights,
has to do.
The violation of human rights and the implementation of this government and these governments of the RCMP, IGS, to deploy their forces to quell the citizens exercising their constitutional rights. And you, as a license holder, are exercising your constitutional right to medicine. The ignorance.
I was actually denied it.
Yeah. The ignorance, right, that surrounds these issues by the people that are supposed to be upholding, right, and this created-as-you-go law system, right, these greasy bits of legislation that keep getting pushed through, going towards. Thank you for reminding me about Agenda 21. Fuck, man.
It's a scary thing.
Back in the day when we all sounded really crazy. You think we sound crazy now? We sounded really crazy when we started talking about chemtrails.
Oh, man.
And when we started exploring these things and about the conspiracy that at the level corporation was infiltrating governments and what it was all about, and that a very select few were in control. Nestle, right, is a big culprit. Oh, can I say that on TV?
Oh, yeah.
Or, okay.
Nestle's been
They're
buying
the
up
ones,
the fresh water supply.
And he has publicly stated, and he's quoted as saying, that he thinks water should not be a right.
I'm going to hit some weed out of the evidence bag.
It's going to taste better, hey?
I think it got me higher.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Hit me up.
Well,
because when I talk about this, seriously, I need to be like really high because I get so excited and so upset. And and I saw this televised stuff and the untelevised stuff straight from the front line. Some of my brothers and sisters have honored me and asked me to help pass on publicly information that will not get to media. So, I've been doing that on social media. Right?
Awesome.
That's how this is happening, right? Because media is lying to you.
Oh,
you
media
already
is big
know
time
that.
lying.
You guys already probably know that. But
They're making it look like, it's... just pay us, you should have just asked us to come on our land. And,
all our systems have been hijacked.
Oh, fuck.
To only include a select few. So I feel pretty honored to be able to sit here and talk about this on any public forum. Or if I'm asked to participate. We held a solidarity march for the Mi'kmaq last week. The Mi'kmaq people and a lot of people turned out. There was over 1,000 people there. But media underreports it. They said about, maybe 400 people showed up. Yeah. we made quite a noise, and we shut down some streets in the middle of rush hour on a Friday afternoon. That's,
Nice.
Right on Burrard in Georgia.
That's awesome.
Go to YouTube, you'll see it.
So, so what happened with this injunction that?
This injunction, well, see, this has been going on for a while, right? Everybody thinks, ooh, this is all of a sudden. Actually, hundreds of actions like this are going on across Canada right now. And that's a fact. They won't tell you that. So this is just one example, right? So this injunction, this prior injunction, I'm not sure exactly how the story goes, but anyway, it led up to this, and that they were seeking to have it put against the people again, meaning they wanted people to not be able to protest, right? Now,
there were some laws passed in Canada that prohibits people from certain types of protesting. You're not allowed to cover your face anymore.
Well,
you're not allowed to do this. You're not allowed to do that. And I gotta say, fuck you, Anonymous.
Yeah.
Because you're the fucks that fucking put that shit together. Wow. You're the fucks that put together this whole fucking Occupy thing so that they could implement laws like that. Just like you did in Egypt, you fucking fucks.
Well, I don't hear them
you're
talking
part of the agenda.
Too loud
Anonymous,
about this.
My fucking ass.
I don't hear them talking too loud right now, about any of this. Or about missing or murdered Indigenous women. Guess what? You can never get an RCMP to show up and investigate a murdered or missing Indigenous woman.
You know what else you
But
can't
you know
get
what?
them to do?
Hey, let me
you
finish.
You can't get them to pass a joint when you're having a seizure.
Fuck yeah. You know what? But you can get like 100 of them to show up, fully armed, to subdue 10 Indigenous women on their knees with
Praying
a feather,
with feathers.
praying, drumming,
praying to the Creator that
armed.
the fucking something changes.
Unarmed. These women are willing to put their bodies, their minds, and their spirits on the road for all of you till you catch up.
And what did they get? They got pepper sprayed.
They got pepper sprayed. They were beaten.
For praying with feathers.
Yeah.
You can't pray with feathers.
Amy Sock, right?
What the fuck?
Amy Sock is a lawyer, right? And she's a member of the Elsipogtog First Nation. She showed up at a press conference yesterday. She showed bruises where they had grabbed her like this, right? And injuries she sustained to her ribs. She was punched 10 times, she recounts, at least 10 times. Then some kind person, she doesn't even know who, right? Said, get off her. Yeah, nice, eh? So there's all kinds of reports like that. And so I'm angry about how this government is exercising, using their agency, an unmonitored agency.
Well, we have a prime minister that's supposed to be going up on charges.
Okay, yeah.
By the
that's the other
RCMP,
thing.
but it's found a way that if he deals with it through Parliament, then the RCMP can't charge him.
So in New Brunswick, 2 days after the throne speech, right, a couple days after the UN envoy leaves, all this goes down. Now, SNW Resources was trying to get an injunction against those people to keep them from their lawful right. On Monday morning, the judge the Supreme Court judge there, ruled that no more. And at no other time, right, are they able to raise this again.
That is
the
awesome.
people of New Brunswick. So a few countries in the world, Britain, Ireland, I don't know, there's a few in Europe, they've all gone, frack off. Frack off, you fuckers, get out of our backyard. Kosh, KXL, get the fuck out of our backyard. We don't want your poison.
Now, if you're not too familiar with fracking, we've got a couple videos that I wanted to play. Let's go fracking away our water supply.
Yeah.
Marius? That Jack's cleaner is...
Welcome back to Ring of Fire. I'm Mike Papantonio. The state of Texas is experiencing one of the worst droughts in its history, but that hasn't stopped them from giving the gas industry access to its fresh water for fracking. Joining me now to talk about this is Farron Cousins, executive editor of the Trial Lawyer magazine. You know, Farron, Thomas Frank, of course, wrote the book, What's the Matter with Kansas? It was a great book. I think it's time for him to come forward with a book, What's the Matter with Texas? What in the hell are they thinking out there? About 74% of the state is in severe drought. you have them having to bring in water 60 miles away just so they can have drinking water in some parts of Texas, and they're still allowing the fracking industry to frack them out of existence. What's up down there?
Well, in the state of Texas, there's no money in water, but there's plenty of money in the natural gas fracking industry. Right? You know, remember, Texas is the state that, you know, dirty energy built. That's their home base. That's where you've got all the oil, and now the frackers are coming in trying to take what's left of the natural gas out of the ground. And so these companies decide that it doesn't matter that citizens are literally going thirsty. I mean, all across the state in some areas, you've got places that are having to go through water rationing. People will go to their faucets, turn them on, and nothing comes out. And it could be like that for days at a time because there's no precipitation, so there's no water. And instead, what they're doing is they're giving what's left to the fracking companies so they can pump it full of chemicals into the ground, which just further contaminates what little groundwater is left in Texas.
All right, well, let's back up. You got 30 communities, at the very least, from what we can tell, about 30 communities that are going to be completely out of water by the end of this year, according to projections out there. Now, those 30 communities are some of them right in the heart of Frackville, and you're still hearing that line, well, by golly, it smells like money to me. I mean, they don't even have water. They can't turn on a sprinkler. They can't fill their swimming pool. They can't even turn on a tap without having to bring water in. There's some communities, from what I see, that are having, San Angelo, for example, is having to bring in water from 60 miles away. That's just basic drinking water.
It is, and you got to remember too that this is water that goes to plant crops and feed crops. Those crops then go to feed livestock. I mean, there are massive crop deaths throughout Texas, massive livestock deaths. So not only are the people not having anything to drink, but this is severely affecting the food supply for the entire country. You know, this is not simply a Texas, you know, selling off our water to the fracking companies story. You know, this affects the whole food chain, basically, for America.
Okay, so they take fresh water that they ought to be drinking, and each fracking operation, the number is anywhere between 6 to 10 million gallons of fresh water that they use, rather than using recycled water. What's wrong with using recycled water? Are they concerned it's going to cost them a little extra money, or what's the deal?
Well, it always comes down to money. And some reports actually show that just across the country, fracking is gobbling up about 140 billion gallons of water every year. And in the state of Texas in particular, it's gotten so bad that, according to America Blog, there's actually residents who are selling leases on their own land to fracking companies to extract water. And they're paying them up to $36,000 a month just to be able to come on their land, drill some water wells so that they have enough water to frack. And
well, the problem with that is they're stealing from the aquifer for the entire state.
Yes.
In other words, the water may be on their land, but it's affecting the aquifer for the entire state. So yeah, they're getting $30,000 a month, but in the process, they're depriving their neighbor of water. I mean, isn't it just this selfish cycle that just continues to spin down there in Texas?
It is. And, you know, you also now, what's remarkable is you have these, you know, energy industry front groups. So one group in particular called Energy in Depth. They've now come out and they're creating these so-called fact sheets about how much water is actually being used in the fracking process. And they say, well, when you think about it, it's really just a drop in the bucket because there's golf courses all over the country that use a lot of water too. We use water in car washes, so don't worry about what's being lost to fracking. They even say that, you know, millions of gallons of fresh water are flowing from the Mississippi to the Gulf of Mexico, which somehow to them is wasteful.
Well, one thing that doesn't happen at a car wash is you don't put chemicals, or say less a golf course, you don't intentionally inject chemicals, toxic, carcinogenic chemicals into the water and then shoot it down 1,000 feet to try to hide it and have it come back up in the drinking aquifer. The comparison is inane. It's absurd, but you're saying they're using that comparison. And of course, if we predict what the Texas legislature is going to do with it, I mean, that is like bonehead central. So you've got the Texas legislature, rather than acting on anything, rather than saying, gee whiz, 30 communities are not going to have drinking water by the end of this year, what their answer is they're going to do some studies on it. Isn't that kind of how they always handle this problem?
It is. Whenever they don't want to give you an answer, they say they're going to do a study on it. That's the same thing that's happened with the Keystone XL pipeline. But the Texas legislature is completely owned by the oil and gas industries. They're the top campaign contributor in the state of Texas. I believe so far this year they've already spent over $3 million on lobbying on every issue from taxes to real estate law. I mean, they will lobby anything that they think is going to benefit them, and they're the top spenders in the state. You can't outdo that money.
Part of this story is really Texas in decline, isn't it? Isn't that the bigger story here, Farron? First of all, what you have is you have this industry. I think of BP in Texas. They were just hit again for price fixing right there in Texas, because Texas is kind of like crime central for the oil and gas industry. People like BP flourish in a state like Texas. So they, rather than saying to BP, you know what, you need to pay taxes to pay for the roads that you take your trucks over. And you fracking companies, you need to pay for some of these roads as you use them to bring water back and forth or to bring equipment back and forth. I just saw a story, Farron, where they're actually using gravel on roads rather than repaving them with asphalt because they don't have enough money to pay for paved roads. Isn't that Texas in decline because they won't do what they're supposed to do with corporate America?
That is. And, you know, they ignore the fact that these oil trucks and these natural gas trucks and all this equipment they bring in, that has the potential to tear up roads about 10 times faster than regular automobile traffic. So the industry, I mean, Texas is owned by the oil and gas industry. There's no way around that. And they know that they can get away with whatever they want to do in the state of Texas. And then to make matters worse, when you go back to the drought issue, you now have all these, you know, water privatization vultures circling over the state of Texas. I mean, they want to gain control of what's left of the water supply and then basically sell it at a higher cost to the fracking company, who can easily buy it more easily than a private citizen could. So, I mean, the state of Texas is going to dry up.
Didn't Bechtel try that down in Bolivia, Farron? Bechtel went down to Bolivia and they tried to own the water to where it would have cost the average citizen of Bolivia about 25% of their income simply to buy drinkable water.
Right, and it basically almost started a civil war in Bolivia because when people don't have water, they can't survive. You know, Bechtel down in Bolivia is a great story. You know, they cut off services to areas all over the place because the private company said, you know what, it's going to be too costly for us to send water your direction. You can't do that. But at the same time, we've lobbied our dictator to make it illegal for you to collect rainwater to distill and drink. They had a monopoly on all the water. Water from the pipes, water from the sky.
Now, understand, this is Bechtel, of course, U.S. corporation that goes down there saying we would rather have these people die of dehydration rather than not make a profit. And the profit was about 25% of the income. But this story in Texas, I think the thing I'm seeing about it I think is so unusual is how little sympathy there is for the folks in Texas. I mean, when you really take a look at the blogs, you take a look at the reaction to all this, it's like, you know what, they did it to themselves. By golly, let them burn up into a dust bowl. I don't know how you change that kind of PR, and they need to. How do you change that kind of PR when you've got a guy like Rick Perry or Ted Cruz at the helm of the state of Texas?
It's almost impossible. You've got to have somebody like a Wendy Davis come in, you know, who is this strong figure and say, look, we're not going to let these corporations kill us. Because don't kid yourself, these corporations are killing people in Texas.
Yeah, well, look, the crazy part about all this, and they know the numbers, I mean, the folks in Texas know the numbers, that they used 600 million gallons of fresh drinkable water, injected in the ground so they could get 400 million gallons of oil. So, in other words, they've lost this drinking water. They've lost forever. They don't, it's not like it's ever going to be used again. It's so contaminated, they have to deep well inject it about 1,000 feet into the ground in hope. And it's already happening, but it's coming up in people's aquifers right now where they turn on the spigot and, as you point out, they can light the spigot and a fire ignites.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the story to me is all you have to do is do the numbers here. Then you have to figure out who is this for? This is not for American citizens because this gas goes, where does it go? I mean, the price fixing with BP, they found that BP was holding on to the gas and shipping it around the world when they can make a higher price to fix prices.
Right, that's what always happens. Anything we extract out of the ground here in the U.S., they go sell it on the global market because they can make more money selling it to China or India than they can selling it here at home. And that's what people don't understand, is that this is not gas that's going to all stay in this country. We're destroying our own country, basically, to sell oil and gas to somebody else. And this is what we're used to seeing in this is what America has done to third world countries for so long, isn't it, Farron? I mean, you go down to South Africa, you extract everything you can, you leave a disaster. You know, you pull the chevron where you go to South America or South Africa, destroy the entire environment, extract everything you can, leave the people in a squalor, leave the people with health problems, leave the infrastructure in a disaster. You take all the profits and you go home. That's, for example, what BP has done in the United States, right here in the Gulf of Mexico. This is exactly what they did. That's the new mentality, the globalization mentality, isn't it, Farron? It is, and it's very sad that they know they can no longer go to these countries because at a lot of places they've been told, you cannot ever come back here and do business. So now they realize, hey, well, the U.S. is basically operating like a third world country when it comes to regulations and safety standards. So why don't we just stay here at home and destroy things here?
Yeah, it's a lot cheaper. You don't have to go overseas. You stay here at home and destroy the United States state by state. Fortunately, they're starting out with Texas first. Maybe the rest of the states will start paying attention. Farron Cousins, thank you for joining me.
All right. Triggers, tags, and Metacrawler is all installed to fucking, especially through Global Network. Come on. You'd be lucky if they didn't cut that off halfway through.
We're back. All right, so I'm noticing a pattern. Every time we do a political show, it freezes after every video.
Go figure.
Coincidence.
You think?
Yes.
Do.
So, that's what's going on, mostly in Texas they're talking about, but you got to think if it's happening there, it's happening everywhere. It's not like a unique problem unto one area where there's fracking. It's like it's going on everywhere.
Anywhere they've been extracting natural gas.
They're doing this shit in Africa. They're doing this shit everywhere. And in Africa, it's so diabolical, man. I feel so bad for these people. I mean, in North America, people are making a lot of money off of letting these fucks come onto their land and do this stuff. And just like they said in there, sure, they might be tapping into wells that are on these people's property, but it's part of an underwater aquifer for the whole area, man. And they're siphoning that shit.
Yeah,
It's
entire
fucked.
towns are dried
It's
up
fucked.
in Texas, and reports in Alberta, right?
Yeah.
You know, the water coming out of the tap, you can light it.
That's scary fucking shit.
People there have, up north too. They haven't been able to drink the water out of the ground for a while.
No, it's pretty crazy. My friend Eddie in Winnipeg, his daughter, she went and spoke at the UN when she was like 8 years old or 9 years old.
Yeah.
On the state of the water on First Nations reserves, and it's just gotten worse. It's fucked, and that was almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
How did they fix it? Oh, we'll just make it worse.
Yeah, and it's not just like old people, hey, like me or whatever, or not you, but I mean, talking about this and barking about this. I mean, when I went to this rally, right, there was like majority, 20, 25, 30, right, and it was all nations.
Well, that's
the other thing.
It's a huge thing. Man.
At this fracking protest that was up, right, this blockade, right. It wasn't just Indian people. It wasn't just Native people. It was all people. And in fact, all people were prevented from crossing a certain line, an outside perimeter they didn't show you in the media, prevented them from joining the people that were actually on the front line being served the injunction. So that's why that brutality was allowed to occur.
That's so horrible.
So that's who's policing all of us, hey? Nice. And they're unmonitored. There's nobody policing the police in this country.
No, it's what it is. It's an awesome display of power. At its
An abuse.
Huge,
Complete
huge
abuse.
Well, test a man's adversity, give him power, right?
Yeah.
You'll find out exactly what is at the core of that man
it's
when
the
you
absolute
put
equation.
them in power of things.
Yeah, the absolute equation, opposite and equal reaction. In my view, it's just I don't know.
It's travesty. It's fucking crazy.
Right. So a few misunderstood anarchists and a certain sector who covered their faces have been used to make a peaceful majority look bad, and the RCMP are clinging to this story that they were provoked. Anyway, it's under review with some human rights agency, like Canadian agency,
what happens
is reviewing
they
this.
hire
right?
people
Yeah.
to infiltrate the movement so that they can start the
Well, of course.
Hey, oh yeah, we were provoked.
There's
we were
evidence,
provoked by
hard
people we paid.
evidence that I published about G20 that clearly demonstrates they're working together, and other things. So these techniques are being exposed, and there's been a shift because people are being more open-minded about this because they cannot find any other rational explanation for what's going on and what's been permitted. And all of us have permitted this. The rest of you who weren't the 45% who showed up to fucking vote. Number one. Okay, so we're all guilty. All right. And those who remain,
I don't bother voting.
not
really,
knowing
I really
about
don't
this,
believe
right?
in the system. I've seen it manipulated.
Definitely, but that
Look what
really
happened in the United
that
States.
exasperates it when people don't realize and understand and stand up for what's wrong, against what's wrong.
Well, you got to think
Allowing these people to create these
look what happened under the
bills
the Bush
and these
administration,
omnibus
right?
things.
They did. The Bush administration was in charge of supplying the electronic polling machines.
Well, they did the same thing.
So
They stacked
what
everything.
they did is they
robo
looked
fraud.
at the polls, all of the statistics, and they found the areas where they had the most influence, and they put a higher volume of voting machines in those areas, so votes were coming in way quicker for Bush.
Oh yeah,
that
was the whole thing.
In the areas that were the opposition, they would put one per 10,000 people kind of thing, so that there was 8-hour lineups, and some people didn't even get a chance to vote because they were waiting in line to vote against this motherfucker.
Yeah.
And all of that's accepted because the voting was the voting. If those people didn't fucking get in, well, that's their problem because they didn't, take initiative to get to a different polling station. They could have drove to a different area, or they could have gone here or there. And that's fucking bullshit. So I really I don't know how to fight these guys.
Agreed, because
at any time they can just say, well, yeah, we won. Look, we got the numbers. It's it's.
Well, I agree. Anybody who's in office is just going to be
It's fucking scary.
A total motherfucker, really.
Yeah.
Really,
scary.
in the interest of whoever's driving their bus.
So let's play.
So this thing about campaign contributions. This shit's got to stop, right? Yeah.
Well, yeah. If you stop funding the politicians, then it becomes grassroots, and that's what we need.
Yeah.
Let's
get Icelandic on them. I say
working class hero from Government Mule. It's kind of like
get Icelandic on these people.
I feel bad for.
They threw out their government and
the
their
guy
banks.
that has to, the person, the individual that has to go and just slave like a motherfucker for next to nothing.
Yep.
All day and then work
It's a
overtime.
slave nation, eh?
It's what's going on, and
30%.
and it's going to get worse. You're not even going to get a wage anymore in this Agenda 21 philosophy. There's not going to be a wage.
Nope.
You're going to have to go work so that
you're going to owe so much.
No, it's not even that. You're just going to have to work so that you get your food, your 3 square meals a day, and your fucking 350 cubic foot fucking box that they're going to stack everybody in. And like the guy says in the Agenda 21 for Dummies, the first 3,000 units are already being built in Santa Cruz County.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's fucking crazy. That's crazy. It's insane. It's insane what's going on.
Hmm.
So, yeah, this one's for the working class heroes out there. And Government Mule, if you're in Vancouver, go fucking check them out. They're playing the Commodore on the 27th.
Friday
Gonna be
night.
an epic show.
Yeah.
Soon as you're born, they make you feel small. They're giving you no time instead of it all. Till the pain is so big you feel nothing at all. A working class hero is something to be. Working class hero is something to be. They hurt you at home and they hit you at school. They hit you if you're clever and they despise a fool. You're so fucking crazy you can't follow. Working class hero is something to be. A working class hero is something to be. Tortured you and scared you for 20 odd years. And then they expect you to pick a career. You can't really function, you're so full of fear. A working class hero, something to be. Working class hero, something to be. You don't with religion, sex and TV. You think you're so clever, and classless and free. You're still fucking peasants as far as I can see. Working class hero, something to be. Working class hero, something to be. Oh. top, they're telling you still. First you must learn how to smile as you kill. If you want to be like the folks on the hill, a working class hero is something to be. A working class hero is something to be. If you want to be a hero, just follow me. If you want to be a hero, just follow me. Look Herrera on the harmonica.
And we're gonna play my RCMP.
RCMP.
Back. We're back. Froze again. It's we're live on Freeze Stream.
Yeah, thanks. Freeze stream.
Well, it's that freeze ray these guys picked up from Costco. It's fucked up. Can't program that thing. It just happens.
Hey, hey.
Ladies first.
God.
All right, so I want to play another video I made in Winnipeg. And yeah, it's the second last one.
should come and sit with us. You got nothing?
Nothing what?
But you look good. Come on. Come on.
I got nothing. Yeah, but you look good, man.
What's Tippy yipping and yapping? Are we on?
Not yet.
No?
What's going on? We're frozen? Oh, we've been on this whole time?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Al, hello? Yeah?
That's what happens when you rip Jack's cleaner out of the sublimator.
That thing's wicked. I love it.
Hey guys, all right. So I'm here with some of the evidence the RCMP returned to me, and I'm going to do a little experiment. I have a theory that once it gets into the hands of the RCMP, it becomes more potent. So we'll see. Got some Seedman's Haze here. Put this in the sublimator biogasification unit. Wow. I have to say, sincerely though, I gotta thank the Richmond RCMP for returning a good portion of my medicine. I wish they would have done so while I was having my seizures, because truth of the matter is, when I'm having a seizure and I come out of it, I'm not coherent. I don't, for the most part, I don't know where I am. I don't know what's happened. All kinds of things can go wrong in that state of mind, especially when under, I guess, a certain level of oppression and not having access to what I know is going to help bring me back to coherency so that I can communicate and stuff. So a long-term, so like I'm still not, it's Sunday right now, this happened Friday, I'm still not 100%. I go through different stages after, like if I don't have immediate cannabis use after a seizure, and a lot of times it becomes just a fucked up mental state. So I get bummed out, all kinds of shit, you know. Yeah, wow, whatever. We all got problems. It's all good. I'm not whining about the shit that I've been dealt with physically. What I am a little bit upset about is that they had it in their power to administer a joint or two joints upon my request, which I know for sure I must have been requesting. It's like encoded in me. So, I mean, it could have been, it could have gone a little bit easier on both of us. They didn't have to watch me endure that many seizures, and they did indeed release 900 grams of the amount that I was carrying. And technically I wasn't carrying the whole amount. I had 900 grams in my carry-on, and the rest was being stored in my luggage, because my luggage is, in my opinion, an extension of my house, and that was my storage facility for the time being. If your address is under duress, what are you supposed to do? You can't just leave your medicine there to be stolen. You have to take it and just deal with it in court. So hopefully I can set a precedent so that people, I mean, it's not going to make a difference because this whole program's done in March. 2014. But either way, hopefully I can change the outlook of maybe the judge or the crown attorney. I think the two constables that were the arresting officers came into it from a different standpoint at the beginning and left with a certain level of understanding. And I hope they tune into the show from time to time. I told them about it. I said, hey man, I rock a show on Pod TV. I address a lot of these issues. Some of it's not polite. But I'd love to have you on the show or even just tune in. So that's that. I want to say thanks for returning this medicine. I know it's I come across as maybe a little bit arrogant, but I assure you it's not out of arrogance. I've seen a lot of movies, a lot of comedies revolving around marijuana and stuff, and I just always thought it would be a pothead's dream to smoke weed from the evidence room, and I really thank you for returning some of this weed to me in an actual evidence bag, because this is now a story that I can tell for the rest of my life. I don't plan on having kids, but I have nephews, I have a lot of friends with kids, and I know I'm going to be an old man one day, and these are the things these events in our lives are would give us a comfortable aging period. Allows us to age with grace if we have, good stories that we can reflect on. And, there is no positive, there is no negative. It's all relative to the perceiver, and I think this is a great story that I'm going to be able to live with for the rest of my life. So, again, thanks for returning my meds, and I'm sorry it had to go that way, but you guys are doing your job, and I'm just trying to protect my medicine. So, fucking A, be well. Fucking go 3 provinces over to sell some fucking weed. Like, seriously? I'm gonna go spend $2,000? Okay. So now we're back, and I'm just telling the story about how absurd this whole thing is. So they want to get me with possession for the purpose of trafficking, and it's the whole thing is absurd. I had less than my 900 grams in my carry-on. So when they released my 900 grams, they went into my storage, which was in my suitcase, and pulled more cannabis out of there to return to me, acknowledging that the storage was indeed medicine as well. So now the whole logic behind it, like, seriously, somebody's gonna go spend $2,000 to go to a different province to sell 3 pounds of weed? Like, come on, guys, that's just fucking retarded. So that's what we were talking about when we came back, and I wanted to show you guys that video, and we got another video that I filmed when I left the house this morning that I thought it was just fucking magic as I'm walking down the stairs. It was like, ah! One of those moments.
Yeah. Are you playing video right now?
We will be right away.
Okay. Sorry.
It's very short. It's about 30 seconds long. We're losing communication here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give us heads up.
You used to let me know when we were processing stuff and when we were coming back and.
No, you just mentioned the next video.
Yeah.
Okay, we're ready to go.
Wicked.
All right, I'm just leaving for the show, but look what I get to see as I walk out of my house. Spider web, look at the dew on the spider web, looking like trichomes, yeah, holy fuck, I'd like to vape this spider web. I'd like to vape that spider web. And then look at our brugmansias.
Just gorgeous. Wanted to share that with you guys. I'm out. I love the mornings. What can I say? So, getting back to the science behind why this evidence bag is more potent than my jars. Okay. Zach Walsh, good friend of mine. Long time. I've known him since, I don't know, we were teenagers. He's a PhD out of Kelowna, out of UBC. And he's done a lot of work on the brain. And what he's found is cannabis works with an area of the brain that recognizes novelty, novel patterns, all sorts of things that have to do with new trends or anything like that. So when you're stoned, in theory, and you hear a song that you've heard 1,000 times, you can like literally get that feeling like it's the first time, like when you heard the song for the first time. It's like, yeah, I fucking love this song. You know, so and same thing watching the same old fucking episode of The Simpsons or whatever. You get stoned and it all of a sudden becomes fun again.
It's your hypothalamus, and it's like the tribal part of your brain, right? You know, it kind of calls you to whatever.
So I get to like I smoke
everything.
weed. Yeah. I smoke weed every day out of my jars. It's what I carry around to consume. And since I was a kid, I've always wanted to, like, I thought it would be awesome to be able to smoke weed from an evidence room. I'm not even joking. Like, I don't mean it in any disrespect. You know, fucking sorry if the RCMP are watching and they are offended. I don't mean this in any disrespect. This is just how I feel, and I'm honest with my feelings. You guys had an interaction with me. You know how fucking honest I am. So, I even was instructing you. You were charging me with the wrong thing. So, I'm as honest as a guy can get. Yeah. Often to my own demise. So, anyways, what the fuck was it talking about? I honestly don't remember.
Well, they have the onus to educate.
Oh yeah, so yeah, every day I smoke weed out of these jars. Now Zach has done a lot of work on, you know, how this substance just works with novelty. So this is just every day I get to do that, right? I've never got to smoke weed from an evidence bag, and I've always wanted to. And being that it was brand new and I've never ever done that before, it hit me harder because I was stimulated in a different way than I am on a day-to-day basis with my jars. And it's the same thing as when a person gets a new bong or something like that. It's like you hit this new bong. It's like, wow, this bong got me so fucking high. It's different than this other bong. And I think it's because it's new. So yeah, that's why I believe that this evidence got me higher. Now I'm gonna dispose of more of this evidence.
Dispose.
Let's see, what do I got? Clobberfunk. I noticed that the Congolese wasn't in this bag. And keep in mind that I was shortchanged. They swore up and down, oh no, we weighed it. And I'm like, no, you didn't weigh it, man. Come on, I know that that's not 900 grams just by looking at it. You know, there's no way. And so he's like, oh no, weighed. I looked at her on the scale. It was weighed, and I said, no, it's not. You guys are either lying or you didn't weigh it right. No, it wouldn't have made a difference. They were like probably 160 grams short on the 900. Well, what they brought me down was this bag, okay, sealed, right, a sealed evidence bag that had about this much material in it, which I think may have fucking even put me over my 900 gram limit. I don't think they actually weighed the bag they brought down. I should have weighed it actually when I got to my destination, but they brought me this bag and it's all mixed. There's like some Clobberfunk nugs, there's some, Candy Kush, there's some OG in there, there's a little bit of Seedman's Haze. But the stuff that looked a little scraggly, they didn't add into that bag. They took the stuff that looked very, very pretty looking. Congolese kind of looks scraggly. The Seedman's Haze kind of looks scraggly. So I'm wondering if this was not, a personal bag that they were keeping. I'm just wondering, putting that out there. So yeah, we got some more videos I want to play. Let's play Joe Strummer's version of the Redemption song.
Hey.
Because it's a fucking great version.
Oh yeah.
It really is.
The songs, you can't take them away.
No, and it's not
the drum, the feather, anything like that.
He doesn't do it like he doesn't do reggae. It's straight out like a folk tune.
Any songs.
It's a
Any
great
tribe,
tune.
you can't
So,
take them.
Yeah.
Woo.
I'm frozen.
Really?
Yeah.
You want a sweater? We're back.
Rose is frozen.
What were you filming? What were you doing? Hey Rose.
Special.
Hey,
Hey Rose, what were you filming? What were you filming?
Oh.
We had special effects going.
My beautiful friend Marijuana Man just blew a puff of smoke into the microphone for me, and it hangs in there and then kind of goes and
Nice.
and pushes it out, right?
A lot of people don't know this, but Marijuana Man is a smoke artist.
Yeah, he does like cool smoke.
His some of his hoots have been used internationally as stock footage by media.
Yes.
Because of the art of the whole. You take a big puff and you let it hang just outside of your mouth and you go back in.
You could. For a lot of years, we've had an awful lot of press come through the building, and in the days when I had the seed desk downstairs, I could see the journalists and media come in the front door. So they'd be around doing stock footage, and they'd be interviewing Mark or whatever they were doing at that time. But I would just light my joint and
Oh, nice. That's a great fucking shot.
and let smoke just drift out of my mouth and have a lot of
So
smoke.
there is a technique to that, right?
Yeah, but it would always encourage them every time. It was like the lure. They'd see that and they'd always come running back. They'd say, "Can you do that again?" And then they'd film it. And so yeah, stock footage then showed up. I don't know. I think Marius was in some stock footage too that I remember out there on, you
Big
and
Jeff from
you and
Saskatoon
Scotty
was in stock footage.
smoking. Yeah, I remember seeing that, and me on CNN. They used to use my picture.
Even before I started working here.
Yeah. Really long time ago.
I just happened to be there, and I remember that joint
Can I show this?
was canoeing and everything.
Can I show this?
Yeah.
Are we on
That's
camera?
awesome. Yeah, we're on camera.
Rose took that picture of me.
Can you see that picture?
So yeah, it's been fun.
A little lower rows. You can't really. It's just.
Too much glare.
Oh, now you can see it perfect.
Wicked.
So
That's a good
we
shot.
created our own little private series of, so as we're sightseeing, walking around, beautiful.
private series.
Beautiful Van City.
Well,
Nice.
that picture, like that profile of me smoking, showed up in the National Post alongside Stephen Harper and Justin Trudeau in the other half of the
Yeah.
picture, and so we've been doing a series to commemorate.
And weren't
that.
you just giant?
Yeah, my face
It was like
is
your
giant
picture,
compared to
your
them.
profile was half of the page, and then it's like
Yeah.
Harper and Trudeau.
Yeah, so
Awesome.
fun stuff.
That's awesome. Let's play some more Joe Strummer. Let's play Straight to Hell.
That's where Harper's gonna go.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people are going to go there.
Yeah, they're gonna get rid of them. They're kind of
Primarily Christians.
I don't know. That's what they say.
Primarily Christians.
Yeah, they said it,
Yeah.
not me.
Now hell is full of Christians.
You'd think so. It's part of their
yeah,
religion.
chock full.
It's part of all Christian religion.
Yeah.
It's got to be full of Christians.
Chris
Certainly
Ria
must
on
be.
the
I
road
would
to
never
hell.
wish that on anyone.
Not that see, I bash a lot of different religions, and really The fundamentals behind it is whatever religion or daily practice that brings an individual closest to God is the best one. So it doesn't matter which one it is. If somebody can actually truly get closer to what they perceive as something holy, that's fucking awesome. Doesn't matter if it's, if it's Christian or, Judeo-Christian or
but again, when
Buddhist or whatever. It doesn't matter.
When governments, contract churches out to do their work, it's another thing. Ain't it? I love them. Yeah.
I chose what I believe is the root of all things holy, and that's just what I believe.
Hey, Cannabis Nation.
All right, let's go. Straight to hell.
Woo!
We're on a hayride with Chris.
This place, mein Herren. And that's it.
Everybody wanna go home. So they say. Can you cover it up loud and strong? The immigrants, they wanna sing all night long. Oh, it could be anywhere. It's like any frontier in any hemisphere. I say it in no man's land. Rasta! Ain't no side from here. Rasta! King Solomon, he never lived round here. Go straight to hell, boy. say we're going. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how it goes. This is how it is. This is how it's gonna be. I'll show ya. This camp here. This is how it should be. Back in England, the crowd was over there, not like it should be here, here, here. Yeah! Take it home and shoot it, brother. Take it home and kill it, brother. I got the shoe. Cinderella.
Fucking love Joe Strummer. Rest in peace. Also,
Yeah.
An online guy, breeder. A lot of people know him by the name of Lone Star. Passed away. So I want to say
Really?
rest in peace, Lone Star. And yeah.
Wow.
That's that, I guess. So, I don't know. It's getting near time. Let's play, we're playing more Joe Strummer, because I fucking love Joe Strummer. And, I think he was the, he brought the attitude to the Clash. Without Strummer, they wouldn't have been the Clash. Because it doesn't matter what music he touches, it sounds like the Clash. You know, it's got that attitude behind it. So, here we go. This one's self-explanatory. Let's see.
Okay, please let's go to the Hammersmith Palais. Midnight to 6, 9, first time from Jamaica. Leroy Smarts and Delroy Wilson, the cool operator. Red Booth, UK pop reggae, Marking band sound system. They got anything to say. Betty Black is head of the sun. But it was 4 times all night, all on stage right. Oh, in Cologne City, rocking around. In Cologne City, thank you.
We're almost done. All right. So, I'm sorry I never got a chance to see Joe Strummer.
Yeah.
That's all I get. Some YouTube videos, but I guess that's good enough. It's better than nothing. I'm gonna do a rip of some Swerve PK. So, yeah, if anybody out there has genetics from Texas Resin Company, you might want to start a memorial plant for Lone Star. Oh yeah. So, what I got here is I got some Swerve. I've showed this on the show a few times. It's pretty crazy looking shit. Looks like alien weed. Is that seeable on there?
Yeah. Yeah,
Cool. All right. Now I've got the San Fernando Valley OG. You see that?
It's still blurry.
Oh, gee, that's blurry.
Yeah, that button in the front making it hard to see.
It's fucking it up, eh?
Yeah.
Well.
Double vision.
Close your mic to the full time of smoke ring.
Hmm?
Yeah, my own.
Yeah, it's a little farther back. Good, that's clear.
All right. I really, really like this one. It's fucking tasty. What else do I got? Some Jack's Cleaner. Jack's Cleaner. Well, I haven't shown buds on the show for a long time, and even on From Under the Influence. Oh, what were you doing?
Nothing.
Smoke
Hey.
rings.
Oh, nice. What kind of smoke rings were you doing?
Marijuana smoke.
Cool. I'll have to watch it.
Sorry.
This will be with the one show that I'll watch, because I don't normally watch the shows.
Camera smoke rings.
All right, so we got some Jack's Cleaner here.
Oh, that was so cool.
What you got? I didn't see it.
I'm missing all the
Pretty
good
distracting,
Oh.
Al.
You're fucking me out here.
Jack's Cleaner is killer weed too. That's
It really
my
is.
favorite that he's showed so far. Don't know what it is, but more sativa-like.
Great name.
It's something crazy. Subcool's been using it in breeding for a long time. I don't know if he's still using it. It's got some hermaphroditic tendencies, but I think all the other characteristics.
Who doesn't, though?
Well, you know, I guess you're right.
be
You know,
honest.
it could go either way at conception.
Yeah, it's a
fair,
toss-up.
fair enough.
And then for the rest of your life,
nurture,
you're fighting the coin flip. Right? Who knows?
All right, and then
I don't.
this Shiloh K that I've been trimming. Jar's a little too full to tilt. But. Is that seeable?
A little lower. A little further back.
Moving in for the kill.
Okay, good.
Go for the camera. No.
All right, I'm gonna do a rip of that. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Fight fracking in any way you can. Be creative. Try not to be destructive, and
Frack off.
yeah, just make sure those fuckers frack off.
Keep out.
Yeah, because it's diabolical what's going on.
And
Agenda
support the
21, we're
people.
kind of fucked. There's not much we can do about that other than to deconstruct our government and you know.
Get Icelandic on.
See, I think I don't think there's anything wrong with preserving nature, but I think what should happen. This is my own demented theory. If we're going to be extreme about things, because that's a very extremist point of view. I think that global society should be given 25 years to prepare for the pulling of the plug. and so that we can educate people on how to farm, we can educate people on how to barter, how to communicate without these how could I say these
usury systems.
Yeah. This intent
corrupted
to enslave,
justice. Blah
you
blah
know?
blah blah blah.
So that people will know that
Stacked
they're going to be
senates.
forced to work together because the plugs are
Puppet
being
leaders.
pulled, and you're going to have to go back to the plow. You know, so walk away from these fucking
What
cities.
if I propose to you? You don't have 25 years. There's evidence to support that this could all come down like a lot sooner. than
It
that.
could, but I think
At the rate they're going, think about it. How long will it take? If their math is their math and our math is our math, and even if you meet it in the middle, and create an average, it would still be way too fucking much.
But yeah, either way, pull the fucking plug.
If you like clean water,
Just yank the plug, and that's that. Get rid of technology. Let us all go back to the plow. Give everybody seeds. Give everybody fucking 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever animals they get when the plug gets pulled. Everybody's entitled to a certain amount of livestock, a certain amount of seed, a certain
Close all the McDonald's and
just
Tim
get rid of industry
Hortons
and just go back, and that's that.
Get rid of all this fast food.
Sure beats fucking hoarding everybody into slave cubicles around railroad systems that connect to pipelines that connect to oceans so that they can freely fucking move people through the country without any hindrance really, because it's one road in, one road out kind of deal.
well,
It's fucking diabolical.
You know
So
what they did in Iceland. Yeah.
all kinds of shit.
They threw out the government and they jailed the banksters. And they just went in and just grabbed those people and threw them in jail.
Yeah.
Took
And-
back their buildings
and that can happen.
Abolished debt.
Yeah,
Right?
that can happen.
Like the homeowner wasn't bound to the bank.
Hey,
and
we don't
enslaved,
judge here.
And enslaved, right? And enslaved by government with tax.
All right.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get the fuck out of here. Thanks for tuning in. Fight fracking. Fight your governments. Take back what's ours, because it's ours, man. Like, and let's treat it nice. Like this is
Free
fucking.
the plant. Free
this is
all.
fucking
Free
bullshit.
everything. Stop using RCMP.
Yeah, let's get some new guys. Give some new guys a contract. Like let's take the leading mall security company and give those guys a contract. It's just they're just security contracts. Anyways, thanks for tuning in, everybody. B-Real, B-Real TV. Thanks a lot. If you're in Vancouver, come to 307 West Hastings. Buy a bong. Cannabis Culture Headquarters. Come upstairs to BCMP and smoke your wares and enjoy the atmosphere.
Yes.
Sign a Sensible BC petition. That's one way you can help fight the government. sensiblebc.ca. If you want to be a canvasser.ca/canvasser. Yeah.
Read up.
Read
part
up.
of it.
Do some shit.
I'm just here to
and
look
yeah.
Did I do all right?
You did.
Try not to step on anybody in the meantime. Take care. Thanks to Pot TV, and we're out. Class is out of session. Frack off.
Yeah.
Frak.
Old pirates, yes, they rob I, sold I to the merchant ships. Minutes after they took I from the bottomless pit, but my hand was made strong by the hand of the Almighty. We forward in this generation triumphantly. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever had, redemption songs, redemption songs. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop the time. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Some say it's just a part of it. We got to fulfill the book. So won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever had, redemption songs, redemption songs, redemption songs. Old pirates, yes, they rob I, sold I to the merchant ships. Minutes after they took I from the bottomless pit. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Some say it's just a part of it. We got to fulfill the book. So won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever had, these songs of freedom. 'Cause all I ever had, redemption songs, these songs of freedom, these songs of freedom.